So MJ is back. Welcome to the We Are One podcast. This may or may not get loaded up. I don't even know. MJ, thanks for coming back on.
Hey,
what's new with you? Going on with you?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that, man. Just life. Just dealing with life and the crazy stories that we all got to deal with just on a day to day. So really, that's not much to report other than that.
All right. Well, I'm gonna throw two synchronicity stories your way, and I can't think of anybody else in the world more apt to discuss synchronicities and numbers and signs and just paying attention to the things that are around us. But I'm gonna get your reaction on the video screen of this. So this episode is gonna be pretty brief, I think, unless MJ comes up with a bunch of stories that he wants to talk about. But probably about 15 or 20 minutes on synchronicities. I spelled that right? Synchronicities. I think I did. Mm-hmm. Synchronistic. That I spelled it right.
It looked like it.
All right. So I'm going to do them in order. So let me see if I can get this one picture. I don't know if I probably should have just sent it. Anyway, you're not going to see my dog, but you know what my dog looks like. Mm-hmm. So those of you that don't know, I got a 3.5-year-old chocolate lab, and we got him in 2020. He was born in June 2020 in COVID times, and we wanted the dog because we was home all day, and we just went out looking. We drove from Tampa to Clearwater to a place called I think Petland, and they wanted like crazy amount of money for dogs, so we said, nah, we good. Drove down the road, saw another place, pulled in, saw this little chocolate lab that was 6 weeks old, beautiful eyes and just great personality. So we bought him. My wife named him Jacob from the Twilight Wolf because he's alpha. And so anyway, skip forward 3.5 years, and now I'm driving around Clearwater a lot and through Largo, whatever, and I started thinking like, man, my dog's a little older, might want another dog to play with. And I just was thinking like this one day last week, we'll call it a Tuesday, drove past this place that we got the dog at. I hadn't been by there in 3.5 years, whatever. And was like, damn, that's where I got the dog at. So I was like, man, I should just pop in there and see what's in there. I'm not trying to spend $3,000 for a dog or whatever. We spent $3,500 or whatever. But so I get home. It's about an hour and 15-minute drive. Get home. My job is to walk the dog and take the dog to the dog park, whatever. So I get this dog. He always want to play. So I put him in the back of the car. I go to the dog park. And this is the next day. Not taking him there every day, regardless, right? But just thinking, the day before, I just saw this place, right? That I bought the dog. I ain't been to that place, haven't seen it since. So I'm at the dog park, and I'm gonna present this. See this? See if I share my screen. Here we go. Okay, got it. See this little dog? Cute little dog, right? Mm-hmm. So he's a lab. He's not chocolate, but he's a little lab. And this girl, was like, "Oh, I just got him today." I said, "Okay, that's cool." I said, "He's a lab." She said, "Yeah." I said, "That's cool." I said, "My dog is 3.5 years old. We got him during COVID. His name is Jacob." And she says, "Oh, I just got him, today. Just brought him home." I said, where'd you get him at?" She says, "I got him over there in Largo." I said, "That's where I got my dog." I said, "What's the name of the place you got him at?" She said, "All About Puppies." I said, "Hold up. That dog might be my dog's little sister or some kind of kin because they usually breed." I said, "Do you know where he's from?" She says, "No, I don't know." I said, "Can you find out where he's from? Because my dog is like from Kansas. That's where he was born." So, I mean, the chances of another sibling dog showing up in a dog park 40 miles away on like the day I just thought about it, the day after, is like I don't even know what chances of that are. I mean, if I would have went in the day before, he would have been in there. And I'm not saying I would have bought him, but I mean that was like really synchronistic. Like I don't know what the percentages are of that, but I'll get to my next story. But I'll let you comment on that if you had anything to say about a synchronistic story, like that you thought
So,
about something and then the next day or next whatever it happened.
did you get confirmation that they were related, or
No,
you?
they have to be related because they buy from the same breeders, the same places. Now, I mean, is it his sister or it could be potentially his niece because it's a girl and my dog's a boy, right? But they're related. I mean, no, I don't have confirmation, but she bought this dog, and I mean, it's the same breeder. I'm sure, 100%.
Hmm, okay. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, things have
I mean,
been.
she probably wouldn't have that dog park. That was the first time she's ever been there. I mean, she lived right. I mean, next to me, pretty much. What are the chances that somebody would even go to that place to buy a dog, like 40 miles away, and that I would see her there the same time I was there? I'm only there for like 10 minutes a day, like 5 in the morning, 5 in the afternoon, get my dog tired, and he's out. So I mean, I may never see that girl again. Honestly, I mean, I'm up at 6 in the morning, walking my dog, throwing the ball in that lot, and I'm home whenever time. It always is different. But I may see her again, in 6 months. The dog's older. The dog wants to play, but like that dog won't be a puppy at that time. So, but like the time that I went in there was like literally the next day of when I was like, oh man, because the day that I wouldn't even known the name of the place because I hadn't thought about it in 3.5 years. Like I wouldn't remember the name. I could have, but I probably wouldn't have unless I just saw the building the day before. Anyway, thought that was pretty damn synchronistic. I'll get to my next story unless you got something to add to that. I'll hear some of your stories in a second because I want to hear some of your synchronicities too. But this one is more crazy than that one, synchronistic wise. So just celebrated my 12th anniversary with my wife this last weekend, and she wanted to go down to Boca, which is 4 hours away or so, to FAU to see her sorority pledge a new line. So one of her good friends, her sorority sister, lives here in Tampa with us, near us. Her daughter is actually pledging her line, or the same sorority, different line, whatever. Um, so she wanted to go down there and support her friend. It's pretty cool that her daughter's in the same sorority that she's in. Considering I think the mom was in either the first year or the second year that the sorority was even invented, founded, whatever. So I mean, it's pretty damn quick that somebody's pledging a legacy line. Anyway, so she says, I want to go down there for the weekend. I'm like, or go to the show. I said, well, that's our anniversary weekend. Nothing's planned. So I start thinking about it. I'm like, I really want to do another fast. So like I'll do another water fast. I did 5 days like 4 years ago. Pretty much changed my life, reset my body. Not just spiritually, but all the stuff that happens to me, I attribute to the water fast because I heard this voice, this whatever, this calling to do it, and it sent me on this journey from day one to do it. Anyway, so I say basically, okay, that's fine. I'll do it. I'll drive down there. We can go to this thing. I said, but on one condition. I said, I want you to water fast with me to do it for our anniversary, to do it together. So long story short, we water fasted from Wednesday night, Thursday all day. Friday, the show was going on at 7 o'clock. So 7 o'clock, she's like, man, I need to eat something, have something, bone broth, whatever. So we're out of town. So I got her some soup. So she had some soup, pretty much, not a whole like chunky meal or nothing, but like a regular thing of soup. So we're at the hotel, go to the show. The next morning, she didn't eat nothing after that, just the soup. I didn't break my fast. So I'm 2 days in, she's 48 hours in, and then she had soup, and then she had nothing. So the next morning, we're driving out of there. Now, today's our anniversary. on that Sunday, on the March 3rd, and we're driving home. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty perceptive. Like I see shit. You know, I notice stuff. But you can see this. Here goes a car. If you read this, you can blow it up. You can blow up on the TV or whatever. It says fasting.
Mm.
That's the license plate. Fasting.
Yeah.
I said, you see that? She's like, oh. I'm like, first of all, I don't know that there's 50 states, right? I don't think there's any, but I mean, I would be shocked if there was a fasting license plate period out there. Any of them. And this is on our anniversary, the day that we're still fasting.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, man, there's no way. There's that is in front of us on the highway when we're fasting.
Yeah. It's a nice car too.
And it's a nice car, you know. So that you know, these things keep seeming to happen to me that I notice them. You know, that again, the chances of that happening, I think it's either an out-of-state plate. Chances of that happening are like 0.000 of happening, of me seeing that. Forget the day, forget that I'm fasting. It's crazy, man. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. That is crazy. But synchronicities are supposed to be. That's what makes them pop out, because they're pretty crazy. Where they got to be so obvious to where they get your attention now.
Yeah. So wait, where do you think that they're coming from? I mean, are we imagining this? Is this like the observer effect? I mean, is it like the thing where you see stuff and then you just call? I mean, I like the Kia Soul. That car is cool. The hamster mobile, and then all of a sudden you see a bunch of them. Is it like that?
No. I mean, no, and I don't think it's nothing you're imagining. I mean, you're showing proof of it. You're showing pictures and you're telling the backstory of what makes it relevant, right? If you just showed a tag of fasting, you know, it wouldn't have meant anything unless it means something to you with the timing of it as well, which is why the whole synchronicity is a thing. It's a timing of it also. You could have saw the fasting thing, you know, 3 weeks ago, and it would have been no big deal.
Nothing. It would have been telling me to either do it or, you know, it would have been like, why don't you go ahead and do another fast?
Yeah, it would have meant something different at a different time. So
but my wife wouldn't have been there when she doesn't fast or hasn't fasted. You know, to do it. So I don't know. I felt like I wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, those are cool. Those are cool.
Craziness of this world. Synchronicities. What do they mean?
Yeah, I think it's happening to people more and more. I think people are. I guess you can ask the question whether people are noticing it more or it's ramping up, but it's definitely. It seems like it's just being noticed more, but I think we're contributing to it as well. I mean, I think we're adding our pieces to it. So I think it's a feedback thing also. Because again, it means something to you. Like, even if I saw that as a passenger and you're like, look, it says fasting, that same synchronicity. Yeah, we happen to see it at the same time, and yeah, we confirm that. But the whole backstory and the whole deeper meaning of it would still not mean the same to me unless I'm fasting on that whole backstory, right? So it's interesting how it overlaps also, but the same event could mean different things to different parties.
Yeah. I remember the first time I did it. You did one too, right? You did 4 days. I did 5 days, I think, or you did.
Yeah. You did longer than I did. Yeah,
whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you done any more since?
No. I think maybe like a weekend, but not that long. Yeah. I think I just did like a water fast for like a couple days. Probably twice since then, but yeah, nothing too crazy.
Nothing prolonged.
No, nothing prolonged. No. But do you see those synchronicities like daily, or do you see them more frequently, or do you see them
I
ramping up?
do, I do, but I don't necessarily think that they're like that. Like I don't see them out of that realm. Like I feel like the last 4 years have been a synchronicity. Like the whole damn thing. Like no matter what I try to do, it's gonna happen regardless. Like I'm gonna see that regardless, or it's gonna happen. I'm gonna just see it. But I definitely feel like when I when I ask for them, they come more often. Like I didn't have to fast. I mean, for my anniversary, I wasn't. I wanted to do it, and the reason we did it is because we are teaching like every other day, kids. So we can't. I mean, we could do it. I mean, some people fast, do a prolonged fast or whatever, but like they're usually pretty rough for me. Like, and this particular time wasn't rough whatsoever. Um, I did a dirty fast though. I mean, I didn't get knocked out of ketosis, so I had those little strips that you can pee on to see if you're on ketones. Um, so I was taking some Viva Zen, some kratom, because it curbed my appetite. But I also did it to see if it was going to knock me out, and it didn't. I was testing it, so I took little sips to curb my hunger. And I mean, I would like to see the results scientifically of taking 5 calories, every 4 or 5 hours, whatever it is, just to knock you out of that hunger before it even comes. And I mean, I was clear headed the whole time. I mean, usually you would think, well, I mean, you may not think if you don't know what I'm talking about, but like if you think about how the restriction works with calories, when you take it, it knocks your body from ketosis, running off ketones. It knocks you back into the glucose, like you're running off sugar, right? So you're not running off the same stuff. So when you jump into calories, your body will be like, okay, time to eat. I'll take that, and then it jump starts all your system again, all your cells, thinking it's going to be feeding time. So if you take 10, 20, 30, 50, whatever the number is calories wise that you take when you're doing when you're dirty fasting, or when you are not fasting, but you're breaking fast or you're intermittent fasting, whatever it is, like your body would normally like expect more food, expect calories. So it would knock you a little bit. You'll get a headache. You could get hunger pains. You could be in some certain mode. But it was only 5, 7, 4, 10, whatever calories it was, small calories. And it didn't knock me out of that. It didn't make me hungry. It didn't do anything. And I was like, man, I cannot believe how incredible I feel, like just sipping on this little teeny shot thing for all day. I probably took a shot a day total. Um, and it didn't knock me out of it. So I was like, I want to just see if this is like this, if this is a cheap trigger, or if it's really going to help. And it did. I mean, I was like, this is crazy. I'm not hungry at all. Third day in.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I didn't go 5. I mean, if my wife wanted to stop when we got back home Saturday night, and I was like, I'll have some soup, and then I ate some food, but I don't weigh enough to be fasting for 5, 6, 7 days. I lost 4 pounds in like less than 3 days.
Hmm.
I don't need to be losing no weight. I need to be, now I have to eat extra, get that crap back. So.
Yeah, yeah, Do you think that you're playing an active role in creating these things? Do you think it's
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking that.
yeah,
I've been thinking that, just the whole situation of everything. I mean, the crazy ones, really, all the synchronicities and those crazy things, like um, the iPhone thing going off in the middle of the night after I got back from the Galactic Spiritual Convention in Orlando, playing that Bones song about magic in your bones, connecting to my higher self, those kind of things, and then the symbol that appeared to me on the window. I mean, I can't even think of. There's just unlimited amounts of them, almost. I mean, I'm probably in the 20s of nobody can explain none of this crap. Of the things that happened, the box disappearing, then the other package getting sent to me, the remote, the fan remote, universal remote control wasn't even to a fan. I mean, there's just so many of them that I don't even. I just stopped looking for them, stopped counting. But when I asked for them, like this time, I knew I was like, okay, it's okay. You can show me some more stuff. Like then it happened, boom, boom, back to back almost with these two things. Um, so I think it's proof of simulation to me. That's what it seems like to me, like like the observer effect. Like I'm able to either observe or create or whatever it might be. I'm able to basically prove these things to me. They're almost like psi abilities to me. I mean, they're so synchronistic that they're not even synchronicities. It's not like I was thinking about somebody and they called me. Like, okay, well, they got your number, right? Like, I mean, yeah, there's a lower percentage when you think of them, they're going to call you if you want to play that game. But like, how many license plates are out there that say fasting?
Right, right.
So, I mean,
But here's an interesting thought. Think about this one because I listened to that video where what she sent me with the guy was talking about Mandela effects and the how it's retroactive pretty much, how it goes backwards in time whenever.
mm-hmm.
And what if you're doing many Mandela effects and because it's retroactive in time, like that nameplate could have been anything. Like you were going to see it, that car was going to pass, but it happened to be fasting because that made the most sense, or
Yeah,
you asked for it, right? So
yeah.
to make it all happen, like that,
To make it a Mandela effect.
there's a whole backstory that tells how that car got there and why he chose or she chose fasting. Like, but it's all retroactive. Like that whole story is built back now. If you were able to track that down, so that's
That's a good point. I mean, it makes you think. That's a deep, deep way to look at it. And I mean, I'm on the Anthony Peak train anyway, except for the, reliving the Groundhog's Day thing. But I do think that we live we live sometimes we live in the present, but we've already experienced it in the future. Our body already knows it. Like, and then we just kind of like go through it again. I'm not sure how forward it goes. Um, but I mean, I wish I could forward me some lotto numbers. I mean, I keep thinking to myself, I could win the lottery if I just played it. Like I already think that. Like I'm just like, whenever I decide to play it, I'm just gonna win it. It's just gonna happen. And then people will just think I'm just batshit crazy because I'm like, I told you, I've been trying to tell you, you know, that I don't know if I can control these things or it's just my imagination or what. But yeah, I answer your question. I do think that I'm controlling this somehow, some way, and that I'm not sure if I'm special or not special. People always say that I'm not special. I mean, I don't know if I'm special. I mean, special is the ability to tap into it, right? I mean, I don't think everybody can tap into it. I'm not saying I am doing it. I'm observing it. Um, so I don't know. I think that's a good question. Wish I knew the answers to all this stuff.
yeah. Like his conclusion was that basically that ability to affect reality is like part of what we're doing, but if we're unconsciously doing that, that ability is being hijacked and used to benefit others, pretty much, or to benefit, or just to have a default kind of reaction, which is kind of what we got going on now. You call that NPCs, pretty much, right? If they're just the default script, so they're not accessing their higher faculties of questioning and things of that nature. But does that ability is that ability there or not? I know that's the question, but basically he was saying that that ability is there, but it's dormant for the most part in a lot of people. So,
well, but if they never use it, is it dormant or do they not have it?
he also said this, and I'll be interested because this kind of goes to the NPC. Is he was saying that he thought that there were people that didn't have an inner dialogue, like people that don't have an inner voice or that voice in their head. So
Yep.
I don't know.
I've been saying that, which is I mean, you can say which came first, the NPC or the examples of the of why, like inner dialogue. What are the proofs? I've been saying that the proofs are the reason that I believe that in the first place. I mean, I was there the first time I saw somebody suggest it. I was like, well, shit, this all makes sense. Like, and then I started piecing that stuff together, like you just said. Like, I mean, how can somebody look at you and not have an answer for something? Like, there's no. I mean, I think is that one of the hierarchies of consciousness? I think that's the last part, is you're able to philosophize. That's I don't know if that's it's not Maslow. Is that Plato? I don't know whose hierarchy of consciousness that is. That's the last one. It's
Right. That's
being
one.
able to philosophize. And I don't think people, some people can. I really don't.
Yeah, and two, like going back to that the pyramid example, like you don't get to those levels of being able to do philosophy and higher thinking if you're still stuck in survival, right? Because at
That's
the
true.
lower
That's
level,
true.
you want food, shelter, survival. So there's people that are just stuck in that mode, and they can't even think of anything other than paying these bills and just surviving. So
That's definitely a point, considering where my mind goes to that is, how I would think and rebuttal that, where were they as a child? They didn't probably think they had to provide food and shelter and pay bills and stuff as a child. So, like, where was their rationale when they were a child? Because when I was 6, I was asking my parents about stuff that I wasn't programmed to think. I mean, I was completely outside the box.
yeah,
And so I mean, were at any point in time, were they? I mean, when they weren't asked to provide food, shelter, those kind of things, what were they thinking of then? Were they just 100% in the system? They were
oh,
just tapped in hard.
yeah, no, I definitely think we were definitely not in the system and thinking outside of it. But as we got older and got more educated, we got more in line.
Yep.
But that even that hierarchy is based on our society, right? Because if you can have a different society where that those levels are totally different because the basics are taken care of.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's something to consider. Regardless, that's a good point. I
yeah.
mean, and is that how we're being controlled to begin with? I mean, I typed something. I was looking at some of my notes for this conversation, and I typed this up about a week ago. I said, why is it that we ask kids what they want to be when they grow up? Like they know all the freaking jobs. I mean, I remember being asked that when I was a young kid, and I was like, what are my options? Like, I mean, what do I see on TV is what I only thing I know. Like, I see athletes, I'll be an athlete. They like make a good amount of money. But like, why do we want kids who don't know the options to give us an answer? Why do we have to put them in a box? Like, okay, so if I say I want to be an architect, well, got to go to, what are we going to tell them? That's a lot of school. Want to be a doctor? That's a lot of school. Better get on your grades. Like, then you're setting a whole life plan for them, and all they've done is told you whatever the hell they know. They don't know anything. They don't know enough to say what they want to be. Why do we keep doing that to kids? Like, it's like what you're saying. It's you're almost having them program themselves for their entire next 30 years. That's that's the system, right?
Yeah, and that's some pressure too, and that's expectations to live up to, and all that. Just from, but I think I think we don't know better in a sense, and at the core, the mother or father wants to help the child and not let the child make the same mistakes that they made. They may not be able to articulate it in
Mm-hmm.
a way, and yeah, it's easy to say get your grades, but it's different when you work with the child and do the homework and all that stuff. And we fail at that. But I think they try to do good, but we just don't. It's just not reinforced.
Mm-hmm.
And you ask them because you want them to have a certain direction and not be as rudderless as they were because they didn't know what they wanted to be. So they're trying to limit you, not limit you in a sense, but narrow your scope so that maybe you're
And
more
more
focused.
focused.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, or or they're doing the opposite. They don't even realize it, but I think that they're robbing their child of their essence, because they don't want their child to be free and have fun. I mean, maybe not those parameters, but like they don't they're they're trying to program them so that they have the best intentions, but they're also robbing them of their essence of being a child. I remember point blank my dad telling me when I was young. I can't tell you how old I was, but I remember the conversation. He said, "I hope you're enjoying your childhood, because you only get one of them." He's like, when your childhood is over, that's it. Like, this is what you get. Enjoy it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, in essence, some parents are just stealing their kids' essence of childhood and of being free and just being happy. The way we should be.
So I think it's a little the opposite, and this is why I would say that, because I think the parents are, so if they are doing that, I don't think it's purposeful. I
No,
get
I'm not saying it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I think because I think you want to be realistic as well. Just going back to that example, um, if your child says they want to, what do you want to be? Or, well, I want to be a doctor. Okay, well, just so if you want to be a doctor, it is a lot of school, or it is, just being realistic. Or you might want to be interested in anatomy, right? If you want to be a doctor, because, or what kind of doctor, right? Or, but just to have some realistic expectations if you want to be successful, because some of those things require some focus. But I think that's part of the intent with you know with us asking those questions and all that stuff. But I think at the end of the day, the limiting piece is just yeah, I think it's just something. I don't think it's purposeful. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think.
no, I wasn't saying that. But what I'm saying is, by asking those questions, you are steering them into a box where you're kind of taking their. I mean, the kids don't want to. They don't even want to tell you what they want for their birthday half the time. They just want to enjoy what they got, or they might have something in mind. They might say, "I want this," but like if you ask your kid what you want for Christmas, and they say, "I want a Pokemon action figure," and you get it for them, and then they're
Mhm.
gonna be like, "That's it? That's all I get? What's what y'all? That's all you asked for?" So you threw them into a box to be set up for disappointment. Is what I'm saying. Like, I think that's not what a parent should be doing. You should be saying, you can. I'm here to help you. Obviously, as a
Mhm.
parent, but whatever you want to do, I'm here to support you. And if you want to do that, let's do that. But I mean, at no time does a 5-year-old think they should want to be a doctor or an astronaut or a nurse. Like,
Yeah,
they
fire.
don't know. They don't know what the hell that means.
Yeah,
Don't steer them into online school because that boy said he wanted to be a doctor. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You're just
yeah,
taking their joy out of it. Because the last thing I'll say is, you can love, as we both love sports, right? We love sports when we were growing up. We loved it. It was fun. That we liked the camaraderie, we liked competition, whatever it was. But at some point in time, when you say, "Okay, you want to be a basketball star?" Guess what you got to do? You have to go to the gym for 60 hours a week now, son. That kid, after about 2 weeks, gonna be like, "You know what? This shit isn't fun." Like, well, I didn't say it was fun, son. I said this is your job, right? So don't take the fun out of the job. Is what I'm saying. Like, don't steer them so hard that they don't like what they want to do.
yeah. No, I mean, but what gets the person to the NBA is that person that
Loves it. They
yeah,
love it enough that they don't treat it like a job. And that's what I'm
right,
saying. Like,
right.
you know what I'm saying?
And
Like, you shouldn't steer a person into that, or a kid into that. Is all I'm saying.
yeah. Ultimately, that's what you want them to do, is like align their passion with their profession. Like,
That's
do,
it.
do what you love to do. Like,
That's it. And
so,
they say that if you do what you love to do, you'll never work a day in your life.
yeah,
And that's the goal of life. You should have a purpose, and you should have a zest for what you're doing every day, that you don't feel like it's work. Because once you feel like it's work, you already at a disadvantage because you're not loving it anymore.
yeah. But that's not the goal of the the mass system that we go through. It's
No, it's not.
to
It's
do.
it's it's highest and best. It's the real estate analogy. Your land is the highest and best. You could be happy making $20 an hour, and somebody's always going to tell you, well, you're comparing yourself to the wrong person because I'm making $40 an hour. You hate your damn job. You hate your wife. You hate your job. You hate your situation. And
Yeah.
why do I want to aspire to be in that situation? Like, there's only so much you really need. Come back to your hierarchy of needs. How much you need to be happy, right? I mean, and happiness and peace are two different things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I don't have any children, so and I can see how you would want to spoil a child, but this was the other point that I didn't remember to make before is that I think, and this is from talking to parents and teachers and stuff like that, is the kids are getting everything that the parents are spoiling them. They're trying to give the children what they didn't have, but that's
Mm-hmm.
not installing the values of getting it themselves and the work ethic it takes to get it. So now there's a sense of entitlement to where this is
Yep,
what life is. I request something and I get it, and if I don't, I complain, and somebody's going to happen or something's going to change. But and then
absolutely. You're
and
right.
then a lot of the parents, and I get it, you want to protect them from the world, so you shield them as children and you put them in this bubble, and you think that that's going to protect them when the world is still out there, and eventually they're going to get out the house and see the real world as it is, and you didn't equip them while you had them. Yeah, there's a time for them to be a kid, but you also have to equip them for what they're going to deal with. The world's going to hit a lot harder than the parents, right?
Right.
So
They don't feel like they've accomplished anything.
uh,
That's a good point. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, and you can, and I've talked to a few teachers because I'm trying to see how to implement programs that fill gaps that are not being filled by the system, pretty much. So we talk about, and we can sit here and talk till we're blue in the face about what's wrong with the system. And you talk to people that are in the system, like teachers and stuff. And I'm talking about education and STEAM type programs, just with that kind of framework, because that's what the education system is used to hearing. But even with that framework, we're still behind, and it's still underfunded, and there's still a lot of work we can do to help ourselves. So, but the teachers are not enthused about it. The students are not enthused about it. And if we're really serious about education, we're going to have to do something. But there has to be some bridge between what we want to be done and then the bureaucracy of the system and the school boards and all of that stuff. I mean,
Yep.
that's kind of what I'm trying to work through now is bridging that gap. What can we do? We see there's a gap. Okay, so why are we waiting on them to do something we can do for ourselves? What can we do? Right? Because they're not in school 24 hours a day. When they're out of school, if education is a problem and these are our kids, no one's going to be more invested than we should be, right? Like, why should this other person care more about my kid than I do if I really care about them? What am I doing when they're not in school? If school sucks, the
Yep.
teachers are complaining, the students are complaining. There's a gap, so we can complain about it, or we can work on filling the gap because the gap is there. So that's what I'm kind of trying to.
Yeah, and then if learning is not fun, then they're not gonna want to do anything. I mean, they just think playtime is my time.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and,
Yep.
and our system doesn't amplify the natural gifts I think people come in with. We try to fit them into these cookie cutter sections. We fit them into these cubicles, and we're not squares. We're all different pieces of the puzzle, right? It just doesn't fit
Well,
in.
I mean, I for one, I'm divergent. I already know that, so I can do it all. I don't know if you watch that movies or not. They try to
Well,
put the people into their talent places, and divergence could do it all.
well, if you looked at, and there's some, it seems to be true. I haven't researched it in depth myself, but there's supposedly a study that shows that when you test younger children, a large percentage of them appear to show genius level traits. And then as you test those same individuals as they go through our education system, that percentage drops and drops and drops lower.
Hmm.
So maybe it's the exceptional ones that maintain that curiosity and that creative spark, and or just keeps that flame afloat, or keeps it burning Well, others, they get it extinguished through the system, and the system does a good job of that.
Yeah, yeah, they need to keep that genius level enthusiasm and talent headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
So what are you working on right now? I know you got your TikTok channel, or it's TikTok, right?
Yeah. I haven't really been. I mean, I put some updates on there, but now it's really just making connections in the real world and just filling the gaps and so the program that I'm working on is using the arts because my intent is to create a sustainable STEAM program and using the arts as the focal point. Because people are going to spend their money on artistic and entertaining events anyway. So if you can couple that in with something that's supporting the community and also increasing education on multiple levels, then you may have at least a better chance than just something that's just boring engineers talking about why this is important. So,
Mhm.
so using the arts as a way to kind of funnel that attention. So that's kind of the plan right now.
All
And all,
right, cool.
yeah, and all the rest should just fall into place once that happens.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure if you probably haven't seen Chad and his opening his reality. He's opening up a Kriya yoga school.
Oh, really?
He found a yogi, excuse me, in Thailand.
Oh, he's in Thailand now.
Linked up. No, Chad's still in Fort Lauderdale area, but
Oh, okay.
there's a yogi in Thailand reached out to him. He's gonna be doing Kriya yogi school
Oh, that's what's up.
online classes. So that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Might
Okay.
sign up, see if I could learn how to sit
Oh, that's
lotus
what's up.
style. The guy said he could teach anybody. He said he was a world class DJ. Now he's a yogi in
Hmm,
Thailand. So
that's interesting. Okay.
check that out.
Well, that's what's up, man. Well, I know you can have more synchronicity. Are you going to ask for more of them, or you had
Yeah,
enough?
yeah. I mean, I've been tapping back into the matrix. I need some synchronicities that are life changing. Again, I'm
Mm,
getting bored.
nah,
Everything's good, progressing with the soccer thing, but need some need some more signs. Always need signs, man. We all need signs, motivation, inspiration. Know we on the right
well,
path.
yeah, I think this conversation is proof of that. I see things progressing, um, and I'm just observing now. Um, it's weird. I just feel like I'm just watching the show unfold now. Like all the pieces are set, and I
Hmm.
just kind of managed it, just a little here and there, but I'm just letting it unfold, and just like your synchronistic events, just seeing it all, and it's just watching it unfold. It's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you just gotta. I get the picture in my mind. You just throw stuff out there, and you see it all moving, and all of a sudden you just let it go, and then all of a sudden you just start moving pieces, small. It's already out there. You're just trying to select the pieces you want. You
Yeah,
want to what's the word I'm looking for? Experience. You zapping into the experiences you want to experience, the emotions you want. So
yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
most of the groundwork's been laid, and just ride the
Yeah,
wave, ride it and enjoy it.
exactly. And that's the cool part, being seeing seeing the perspective from the top down and having laid all the groundwork and it working, like seeing, oh, it's coming up. Oh, it's gonna be a big tree. Like I see the leaves, everyone sees the leaves. We can take pictures of the leaves, but they just don't know how
Yep,
big the tree's gonna be. But that's gonna
that's
be a
it.
big, yeah.
All right,
So
man.
that's
Well, appreciate the jumping on here. It's past my bedtime. It's 10 o'clock at night. You're about to be 11 o'clock at night, right? We're going spring
no,
forward.
no, I'm about to be 9 here. So
Well, I'm saying it's gonna be 10 there this time next week. So you got to spring forward.
I got you, I
So
got you.
it's getting later in the night. I might get
Yeah,
back on my sleep.
already spring forward. All right then. Well,
Yep, but I appreciate it.
all right, man.
I
Get
hit
out.
you up. Let me know if anything else pops off. Get back on here.
All right, yes, sir.
All right, buddy. All right, peace.